Okay, because, well, according to reports, he was the boss from 2018 to 2024.
He wasn't.
And they say he was overthrown by Ralph Santaniello?
Right, that's another. So Ralphie was the best man in my wedding.
Okay, so you know Ralph.
Yeah, so
right. They're saying he's the current boss.
No, he's not even made. They're having guys that do podcasts say they know. So Ralphie was, like I said, he was in my crew back in the day. I used to have him, I had such a big crew and so many rackets going on that he was involved in one of my sports gambling, loan shark, and the numbers. He would run that for me, sports bookmaking and that. So we ended up getting arrested at his house. The FBI put in listening devices in his house. That's when we got arrested in 2005, and that's when I got a 3 to 3.5 year sentence with the state and 2.5 with the feds. So Ralphie was around me. I go arrested 2010. I'm no longer in that stuff. Rooster becomes boss, and he tells him, and this kid wants his button bad. Like, there's no reason to have your button today. There's no money on the streets where you can support a crew. So he wants his button bad. He wants to get made. Rooster's the fish, he's the guy that they put in that position to be boss. They put him up like a lightning rod, and only a dummy would have took that at his age at 70. So he's gonna tell these guys, yeah, I'm gonna make you, and I'm gonna make you a made man. And to them, that that's what this kid Ralphie wants. He's told people. I came home in 2017. He was already in prison or under indictment. Yeah, he was under indictment. He was going to prison. He got 4 years for that case, and 4 or 5 years. And he told people like 3 different times he was a made guy. He wasn't. He wasn't made. And who cares even if he was? And then he got out of prison in around 2021, 2020, 2019, and the same exact thing. He tells people he got his button and this and that. You never would tell anybody that anyways. And even if he did, who cares? It ain't nothing what it is when I was there or in the past when you named all those other bosses.
Well, you were charged with the murders of Bruno and Gary Westerman.
Yeah.
Which you cooperated on.
Yeah.
Were you accused of any other murders?
I was accused of attempted murders. I pled guilty to other conspiracy to murders where they actually didn't die. Any murder that happened in that area, we got the blame. Like they thought me or my crew had something to do with it. But no, I never, that was it. That was the total.
Were you given a proffer agreement, or was it just a cooperation in exchange for leniency on your sentencing?
So what happens is I knew I was getting indicted in 2010 when I was on the streets. Mm-hmm. So I'm preparing to go to trial and, beat the case, get a lawyer. My lawyer is a Massachusetts attorney. He gets me John Mitchell, who's a very high-profile attorney out of New York City. He represented Gotti and everything. So when I'm under indictment for this case, I'm looking to fight the case, and then you get all the discovery. This guy that Artie put us with, he's wearing a wire. He's been an informant. Artie wouldn't let me kill him. But the thing that drove the nail home was when he comes up and he says, Artie's not in the system. They thought Artie cooperated. That the Genovese family in New York are worried sick. So that led to my cooperation and getting out of that. When you do a proffer, so what happens is, and those are very hard decisions when it comes to that, time. It's not like, you're sitting there and it's a process where you don't want to ever, be in. Thank God I did do what I did. But it starts off with, and they don't do that for anyone. Anybody, I bet you that 95% of people in prison wish they could get out of prison right now if they had an opportunity. So and they're not just going to be like, oh, well, you killed 5 people here. We want you to cooperate, and we're going to give you like a Sammy the Bull deal, 20 people, and give you 5 years. They're not doing that unless you have something high valuable to offer them, And in this case, I had that to offer them, and what you do is you reach out as an attorney proffer. In my case, that's what I did. You reach out with your attorney reaches out to the U.S. attorney and says, "Listen, there's a few things he might want to have a sit down with you." Like John Gotti Jr. did a proffer, same thing I did. Only he didn't have to follow through. They didn't take his proffer, and he had to end up going to trial. So when you do the proffer, they have to take you and believe what you're saying, number one, and it's got to be valuable enough to where they're going to let you get out of a death penalty case and a life imprisonment case. So it's not just like, oh, I'm going to look what they did to Casso. He did proffers, was going to, 30-something murders. They didn't take him. The guy informant in my case, he did a proffer, cooperated. They ripped up his agreement because he didn't tell the truth. So they give it up. So you come out and you give an attorney proffer, and they have to accept it. While that was going on, you're waiting to hear back. I had 3 guys in my area from Mass, and I told them exactly what I'm doing and what I want them to do. I said I had all the evidence. They had 4 direct witnesses that could put us to the murder. Artie's not in the system. He's our boss. He's first on the indictment. I'm second. I said, we're going to get life in prison. Let's just say there's a miracle and we beat the murder. We're not beating the racketeering. We're going to get 60 years for the racketeering with our criminal records. So I put word out to them and to join me in the decision that I had to make. So you hear back from them with the proffer if they're willing to take that. Now, I didn't even sit down. I was in Rhode Island being held at this time, waiting to go to New York. So it wasn't like a month and a half later that I actually got a chance to do a proffer. So they had a month and a half chance to, join me in this and understand, the evidence that they had. Hey, listen, if you guys are fine with rolling the dice and maybe you'll beat the case, then good luck to you, But if you don't, you're going to go to jail for the rest of your life. And so, yeah, that's how it gets broken down. And they have to accept you with that proffer agreement. Yeah, and that's when I finally proffered with them. Like, so when you proffer and sit down, say I proffered and sat down, and I try to make a deal, and they didn't accept it, I'm still going to be labeled as someone that cooperated. Just like John Jr. Gotti sat down with the government, and he tried to come up with, he proffered with them and come up with, and here's the thing, everybody would want to do what he tried to do because, yeah, I want to cooperate. Fuck my boss that put me with this informant that had a wire on that I wanted to kill and he wouldn't let me kill. He's the New York boss. Fuck him. I don't care what happens to him. But let's just say I want to protect guys that were around me. You can't do that. Like, I want to say, you know how many times that backfired on people? Like, say we killed someone and say, yeah, they didn't do it with me. These 2 guys did it with me. Or I did it by myself. Now, years later, it comes out, they getting some jammed up with stuff, and they say, well, I'll tell you about the murder that I didn't tell them about. Then it happened with Bobby DeLuca, with them in Providence, with Frank Salemi. Happens all the time. This guy I was in prison with, Philly Fay out of Philadelphia. Pete DeCrum was his boss out of Newark or wherever. They killed 5 guys. Phil didn't tell him about it. He wasn't going to do a day in prison. His boss ends up cooperating, tells him about the 4 or 5 murders that Phil did. This guy ends up going to do the rest of his life in prison. And the boss that ordered him is going to get a sweetheart of a deal. So it's a very, it's a treacherous road. You got to be very intelligent when you're playing that game. I probably did what no other guy did that ended up cooperating because I told my crew, the 3 guys, before I even sat down with anybody that what I was going to do and what I want them to do. So I don't think, that's ever been done. But yeah, it's a dangerous. You got to be very, you got to be intelligent when you're making that move because they can snap it away from you and you do that for nothing. You're labeled that you cooperated and you go to prison with that. You go to a pen and they'll do the same thing. They'll butcher you like they did Whitey Bulger.
Yeah, and I want to get to that part of the story as well.